Hey guys, it's your old pal Tony Giles TG here, back with another episode of The Record Room. And from this episode on, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. I'm going to be less the focus and it's going to be more about the records. I've got a bunch of great stuff for you on this episode. We're kind of all over the show, so I hope you enjoy the episode. Be sure to give us a thumbs up if you do, and if you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button. Okay guys, I'm going to kick off this episode with something kind of special. The album you see before you is the Dream Division Imagine score to Dennis Wheatley's novel The Devil Rides Out. Now I have spoken about this album before. In fact, I spoke about its original release, which was a cassette release through Bibliotapes a few episodes ago. And on that episode, I mentioned that I wanted to get the album when it came out. Unfortunately, I missed out. It sold out super quickly. And I was kind of bummed about it. And I posted online, if anyone has a copy or if there's a reissue, someone please let me know. And then Dream Division, aka Tom, he reached out to me and said, hey man, I actually have a copy that I'd be happy to send you, for use on your channel. And I was so thrilled about that because I really like the concept of these Imagine scores for novels. We hear a lot of Imagine scores for movies, but not so much for novels. So for me, I just thought, oh, this is, this sounds like a really good idea. And then when I actually listened to it, I was so blown away. It's such a good recording. There's so many electronic albums and electronic artists these days that are kind of, I don't want to say they're doing things by the numbers. That's a wrong thing to say. However, there is a lot of material out there that really sounds the same. It's hard to distinguish between one and the other. So I was really impressed when I put the tape in and it sounded like nothing I'd heard before, and I wasn't fully expecting it. Totally fell in love with it. Started hounding Tom. He sent me a bunch of his other stuff. I think he's really cool. He's a really great musician. And then a little while ago, he reached out to me and said, hey man, I'm actually going to put out The Devil Rides Out on vinyl. Would you be interested in writing, kind of a brief note for the Obi strip? And I thought, well, this is, of course, absolutely, I would love to. So the Obi strip that comes with the album actually features some quotes from yours truly. So I'm so happy to be a part of this. Obviously, I'd be stoked about the record anyway. But yeah, being able to take part in this has been really cool. The album itself is a limited edition of 100 copies. I'm just going to take the strip away there, and that's the front cover, which I think that is so kick-ass on so many levels. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of you out there are familiar with the Christopher Lee film, The Devil Rides Out. It's a fantastic movie on so many levels. But this is a score for Dennis Wheatley's original novel, which again, is so cool. It's such a great novel. I recommend checking out if you can, as soon as you can, because it is an absolute brilliant read. Just take a look at the back cover there. I mean, everything about the back cover. This to me, if I saw this in a record store without knowing what was on the record, I'd be buying this. I would just be buying this, and I know that I would come home and I know that I would have a really good time with it. So yeah, Dream Division, The Devil Rides Out, recordings from the Library of the Occult. And this is actually Tom's label. He plans to put out a bunch of other titles under the Library of the Occult moniker. I don't know if there's going to be other artists. It would be really cool if there were other people doing this kind of thing. I think, but for the time being, it's just going to be Tom. And I believe this is the first of a trilogy of LPs. So very excited about that. Let's actually take a look at the record itself. There's a little note there from Tom. Hey Tony, thanks for the support. You are more than welcome, my friend. More than welcome. And here we go. This comes on blood red vinyl. And yeah, that'll do it. That will absolutely do it. There we go. That's the, I think that's side A. And let's have a look here. These are really cool center labels. I will say this. I know I'm not the only person out there, but I'm a really big fiend for center labels. When they look cool, it's kind of, it's kind of like, I don't know, but it kind of makes me like the record more when the center label is pretty cool. I cover up center labels because I have a record clamp, but I do like looking at them. And with the record itself, I believe the first 25 copies actually came with this added booklet, which is very cool. And this booklet here features some images, the instruments used on the album, which is pretty cool, how it was recorded, where it was recorded, the words of the Susama ritual, which is cool if you'd like to conjure the devil. And yeah, this is just really cool. This was limited to 25 copies, so the first 25 orders got those, which is pretty cool. I also managed to get a couple of Library of the Occult stickers, and also a really cool poster of the album cover, which I can't show you all of because it's quite big, but there you go. You get the idea there. So yeah, this is now sold out, which I am so thrilled for Tom for. This sold out virtually instantly. So I mean, just thanks to everybody out there that had watched my show or had seen me tweet online and talk about, you know, how good The Devil Rides Out were, and then picked up the record. So thank you so much for that. I know Tom's really stoked about the release. There was also a cassette version as well. I don't have that here, but I am expecting a copy in the mail. So when that turns up, I will probably unbox that and put a video up online, because I know that one looks really cool as well. So I can add that to my Devil Rides Out collection from Dream Division. Now, from an Imagine soundtrack to something that could easily be a soundtrack. This is the album Tarte Newfan. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce this. I could be completely screwing that up. I do know that the artist is Thangarodrim, which I'm pretty sure has something to do with Lord of the Rings. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I have to say that, even though I do like fantasy sci-fi. Not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. However, what you see before you is a vinyl pressing of one of the absolute best dungeon synth albums to have ever been released, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I am a fan of dungeon synth. I've spoken about dungeon synth before. I will continue to speak about dungeon synth. It's a genre that is primarily released on cassette. We are definitely getting more CDs, and we're starting to get more vinyl as well, which is absolutely great. This was actually my first foray, this album I should say, was my first foray into dungeon synth. And in fact, there's my original cassette version, which I believe was limited to 100 copies, and this came with a patch and a badge, I believe. And I got this when it came out. I'm not sure when that was. It was a couple of years ago now. I think this is long sold out now. But this was released through the Out of Season label, and the vinyl is also through Out of Season, and it's a very bare bones package, but when the release is fantastic. I mean, how many bells and whistles do you actually need? It's a double LP. Each track takes up one side. Each composition, you know, they are fairly long, so that kind of makes sense. This is through the Out of Season label, released in 2020, and this copy, I actually picked this up from a good friend Ben over at Two-Headed Dog. He actually sent me a couple of Thangarodrim LPs, and I wanted to talk about this one today, and I'll probably feature the other one on a future episode. But as far as kind of, if you are a fan of soundtrack music, or maybe if you're a fan of role-playing games, that kind of a thing, you know, if you're not aware of dungeon synth, if you're not, you know, kind of, if you like atmospheric music, let me say this, if you like atmospheric music, if you like music that will take you on a journey, which is something I've spoken about many times in the past, music that takes you on a journey, dungeon synth is fantastic for that. It really will. It's not the kind of thing you just have on in the background. At least I don't think it's the kind of thing you have on in the background, because I always find myself kind of daydreaming, drifting off, and, you know, just thinking about things. And this album is absolutely fantastic for that. And I love this, dedicated to the old ways. It's so cool. It looks like a black metal release. I know it does, but it's not. It's actually it's a dungeon synth release. And it's very bare bones package inside. It's 2 slabs of big, thick black wax. And there's no need to show you both, but there you go. I mean, that's what you get in the package. You get 2 slabs of black wax that both contain some amazing instrumental, atmospheric, dark, cold, whimsical, magical, just, I love the album by Thangarodrim. He's done a fair few releases now. This album is a few years old. It's just coming to vinyl, but I mean, he's been making music for a while now, so there are more releases. I would definitely say go online, go on Bandcamp, check this out if you've enjoyed what I've said. I mean, the look of the album appealed to me because I was like, well, you know, as a black metal fan, this looks crazy. I have to go and check this out. So yeah, I was completely blown away when I first heard it, and having it on vinyl now just means I can enjoy it on a whole other level. And now for something completely different. The album you can see before you is Fleetwood Mac's Mirage. And I know that Rumours is like the album. When people think about Fleetwood Mac, they think about Rumours. But this album, this is the one that I grew up with. This is the one my parents would play more than Rumours. You know, we did have Rumours at home. I think every family in the world, if you were a child of the 80s, I think every family that listened to music had Rumours. But Mirage was definitely the album I heard more growing up. I remember this cover so vividly. And it's just one of those records that I hadn't had in my collection or hadn't added. No real reason why, I just hadn't. And this is actually, it doesn't say on here because they have actually just copied the original artwork perfectly. It still has the 1982 Warner's date on it, but I believe this version came out in 2019, and I picked this up in the UK chain HMV, and it's kind of cool. I mean, it does replicate the original. You do get the lyrics, nice printed in a sleeve, and what's cool about this version is it comes on violet vinyl, and I'm not entirely sure what the significance is of the violet vinyl. As far as I know, there are no tracks on the album that reference violets or violet albums, but I mean, it looks really nice. It does look really cool. Sound quality is fantastic as well for a colored vinyl pressing. Trans colors, I don't know what it is about trans colors, but I seem to have not issues, not difficulty, but I always find that, you know, a solid color will look better, and obviously black will play better. So I should say play better, not look better. Color choice, you know, it's up to you. But this is the first time the album is available on violet vinyl, and it actually said that on a hype sticker, which, again, I don't understand the significance of it. It's cool, but I don't know. Is there going to be another color and it'll be the first time on that? Who knows? This track here though, track number 4 on side 2, Oh Diane, my absolute favorite Fleetwood Mac song by a long shot. I would definitely say that I'm more of a fan of the Buckingham Nicks Fleetwood Mac. The early stuff is cool, you know, for what it is. It's very different, bluesy and whatnot, but for me, the Buckingham Nicks stuff is fantastic, and Lindsey Buckingham's vocals on Diane are just, you know, it harkens back. It's kind of like a 50s love song, and I'm a big fan of that stuff, so it's great to actually add this to the collection. I do like that label as well. It's the old, they tried to replicate the old Warner label. Is that gonna blur out? I think it is, but yeah, there you go. It looks pretty cool. You know, I am just a fan of this, and this was kind of inexpensive. It was under £20, so I'm not quite sure if it's a limited pressing. All vinyl to some extent is a limited pressing these days, and I would imagine an album like Mirage by Fleetwood Mac, which at the time was considered kind of something as a flop, because it didn't sell anywhere near the numbers of Rumours, but I think this album still sold something like 3 million copies or close to that. So, you know, it would be nice to have an album that sold 3 million copies. But this is available now pretty much all over the world, I think. I don't think this is exclusive to the UK, but if it is, check around online. I'm sure you will track down a copy if you are looking for it. But as far as I'm concerned, the reissue of Fleetwood Mac's Mirage on violet vinyl is absolutely flawless. My next pick, Witch Hazel, album number 2, Sojourn. I can hand on my heart say this is probably my favorite album to listen to at the moment. I've been listening to the vinyl, I've been listening to it digitally on Bandcamp, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music. Like, I will literally listen to this album anywhere that I can. And it was kind of a blind buy. I will say that I'd seen the cover posted online on Instagram or Facebook, or someone was talking about it, and I really liked the cover. I thought, well, you know, that looks really cool. You know, it's a bit different. You got this almost like a Templar Knight kind of a thing, which I thought was really cool. And it turns out that the artwork is actually by Branca Studios, who I own quite a few of their shirts. And they're this really awesome clothing company, so check them out if you like kind of alternative, not necessarily metal, but they do a lot of cool stuff. Go and check them out. They're quite active on Instagram. They do a lot of like Doom related stuff, which is pretty cool. But I looked at the album and I was like, you know, the back cover's kind of interesting. These guys look, you know, they've got kind of the medieval peasant type thing going on, but I didn't know what the album sounded like. So I was looking at it in the store and kind of trying to judge, should I buy this solely based on the cover? And if I can, I will try and like quickly jump online and listen to some samples, but there was music playing in the store, so I couldn't really hear it. But I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna I'll take a punt, and worst comes to worst, I can always put it on Discogs or eBay, resell it, but you know, it does look pretty cool. I came home, I bought a bunch of stuff that day, and this was the first album I listened to, and I could not have been happier. The first track, The Devil Is Here, oh my word, it is so incredibly good. The music is kind of a blend of hard rock, some doom elements, some folk elements, some like classic 70s rock. It's so good. It kind of takes a bunch of things that I like and puts them all together and wraps it up in this neat little catchy bow. The Devil Is Here is an insanely catchy song. Like, you will hear this song once and probably be humming, singing it before the track is even finished. It is so darn good. And the rest of the album just follows suit. You know, since listening to this, I've gone back and I've listened to their first releases. Those are also great, but I would say this is definitely their shining moment so far, and this came out, I think it was the end of 2018, so it's about a year or so old now, and this is the retail version, which I will show you, comes on red vinyl, but there are a few different colours. They have a Bandcamp, which they were just actually selling a couple of different versions, and I almost picked up another version, but I thought, no, that would be silly, but I know that in like 6 months' time I'm going to be hunting down those records. But this is like a nice thick trans red. It's not 180, but it's definitely quite thick. And this Bad Omen Records, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a fiend for like killer labels, and that one's really cool. I do like that. But if you're a fan of like 70s rock, MOR stuff, I really think you will dig this. And of course, remember, if you are a patron, you can jump over onto our Patreon page and hear some samples, because you will be able to hear the Sounds from the Record Room podcast. And inside the album as well, you do get this nice insert, so you can, of course, sing along should you wish to. And again, it just replicates the back of the album. Cover collage and layout by Branca Studios. Those are, they're good people. They're good people. I've spoken to them a couple of times, and like I say, I do have a bunch of their merch, so I am a big fan of this record, definitely my favourite listen at the moment. So if you're intrigued, jump onto your favourite DSP and check out the record ASAP. Cannot recommend this enough to all you guys out there. Now we've come to the end of another episode of The Record Room, and as of the day of recording this, I'm really bummed out. I am saddened, I'm heartbroken, but I'm also incredibly grateful, because today it was announced that the composer, the maestro himself, Mr. Ennio Morricone, had passed away recently. And you know, I said this online, Ennio Morricone's music has been there since birth for me. You know, I was born in the late 70s when he was just on fire, releasing records left, right, and center up until, you know, the last few years. You know, he won the Oscar, I believe, for the Hateful Eight, which is only a few years ago. So it saddens me, but, you know, anyhow, he was 91 years old and he has left us this incredible legacy that we will be listening to, new fans will be discovering for years and years to come. So I am upset, but at the same time, I am grateful, I am thankful, I am pleased with the catalogue he's left us, and I know personally I will be listening to his music for the rest of my life, and then hopefully introducing it to you know, my daughter, and if I ever have any other kids or, you know, friends, family, whatever. So I wanted to finish this episode on something I picked up recently, and that just so happens to be an Ennio Morricone record. And this, I actually got this from, again, I got this from our friend Ben over at Two Headed Dog, but this is out on Death Waltz Records now. You can get this from the Mondo website as well. And this is the expanded version, or the expanded's not the right term, because it says on here 29 tracks, including 19 never before heard rarities. So I mean, this is the ultimate version of Four Flies on Grey Velvet, the score for the Dario Argento film. If you're going to buy a copy of Four Flies on Grey Velvet, this is the one you want. You know, as far as the listening experience goes, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I had such an amazing time listening to this, and I've known that score for years and years and years and years. And hearing it here was like, oh, I've never heard this before. So it was like discovering a whole brand new Morricone score that I was kind of familiar with, but now I have a much better idea. I'm just going to take away the Obi strip there so you can see Luke Insec's amazing artwork. It's so good. Unfortunately, my copy was completely mauled by the Postal Service, which is a shame. However, I can still listen to it, so, you know, I can't complain there. It's so cool. I'm going to move the records out of the way so I can show you the gatefold as well, because the gatefold is really cool on this. Obviously, if you've seen the film, it will help. But I love this. I really am a fan of this. And I'll just show you the back cover as well. I mean, I do like the film Four Flies on Grey Velvet. I think it is brilliant. I really do. And as you can see here from the back, there are 3 sides of music, and the 4th side is actually etched, which I will do my very best to show you in detail. But there you go. I am a big fan of that, and I'll show you the insert first, because it comes with this nice card insert. And essentially what you have here are movie posters for Four Flies on Grey Velvet from around the world. This is the one I'm kind of most familiar with, but there are a bunch. I love this Japanese one. I think this is the English one, or maybe this is the English one. It's just that there are so many. It's really nice one of Mimsy Farmer up there. So yeah, I mean, we all know how good Death Waltz are at what they do, and this is just a testament to their greatness. And the album itself, like I said, I have the retail version, which comes on crystal clear vinyl, and they're very big, thick slabs. I don't think they're 180, but they're very close. But you can see there, I mean, it's just so clear. So unbelievably clear, and no pops or clicks for me. You know, straight from the gate. Obviously, I did give it a clean, but no pops or clicks or anything like that. It sounded great from the jump, and you know, ultimately, that's what you want when you're listening to a new record. You want it to sound good from the start, but I mean, that's not always the case, unfortunately. And as I mentioned, the 4th side of this record, it's not music; it's an etching. And I'm going to put the black sleeve down because I'm going to try and show you. I don't think it's coming across, but on the 4th side, there are flies etched. Let me try this. So you can kind of see it there if I kind of angle the light. It doesn't show up that great on the clear vinyl. I think the Mondo Webshop version, which I believe actually had a faux grey velvet sleeve, I think it was a different color and it maybe popped a little bit more, but this is an absolutely fantastic release from Death Waltz. Total hats off to Spencer for another fantastic Morricone release. He's done several so far. So I wanted to finish this episode and just say thank you so much to Ennio Morricone for all of the fantastic music he's left us with. And I know for damn sure I will be listening to many Morricone records today, tomorrow, the day after, the day after that, the day after that, and probably for the rest of my life. But there we go, folks. That's it. We've come to the end of this episode of The Record Room. So thank you once again for joining me. Remember, if you'd like to support the show, jump on over to our Patreon page. It's just $1 a month. You get 2 podcasts every month featuring music from the episodes. There'll also be some bonus content as well from myself. And remember, if you're on the social media, do give us a follow at Record Room Show, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course TikTok. But until next time, stay gold, spin those blackest circles, and remember, stay safe out there and keep washing your hands.